My name is Cleve Miller. I'm with English360.com. We're a joint venture recently with Cambridge University Press. And what we're focused on with English360.com is really kind of parallels perfectly the questions that we're talking about today. How is technology used for learning and teaching? And sometimes I think the technology in the classroom argument, I don't really use a lot of technology in the classroom, but I believe that we have a tremendous opportunity to use technology behind the classroom to enhance the classroom, especially with materials design. And English 360 is focused on using new technologies and crowdsourcing and user-generated content to really forge a collaborative relationship between publishers and teachers and schools who are making a lot of their own content. And the reality of the classroom is, and my background is in business English teaching and in-company training, so the examples I give are usually focused on that segment. But the reality is that teachers are taking publisher content in whatever format and blending it in with the content that they make to supplement the classes, because teachers and schools know best what their students need. And there's a lot of, I think that we have to use technology to expand our definition of what quality is with content. It goes beyond, it's necessary to have a validated scope and sequence and the sort of high quality editorial standards that published content has, but there's tremendous value in user-generated content using new technology to create a blended curriculum, because as teachers and students, we know what the students need. And we also can get examples of material about what the student needs from a magazine that's yesterday, as opposed to something 7 years ago. So if we use technology to expand our definition of what's quality in the materials that we use, we can bring in timeliness and relevance, and really working together using an online platform. There will be many more. English 360 is one of them. To really allow teachers and schools to have these digital tools to be able to deliver a curriculum to their students and a learning path that fits what their needs are. Now, I think usually I have a PowerPoint slide to refer to in case I forget what my next point is. But the bottom line here is I use the idea of a playlist. I'm sure we're all familiar with that from our iPod and iPhone days. But I think the future of technology will be driving in the classroom will be really materials based, and it'll be customized materials based on a playlist metaphor. So you know what, with a playlist with your music, you can take tracks from different artists and different CDs and put them in the order you want, that then fits your mood or maybe fits the social context. If it's for a party, it's not permanent. And I think that that's what the future of the course will be. It'll be playlists. And database-driven technology, Wikipedia is an extreme example of something that has 15 times the articles of Britannica, but came up just in the last 3-4 years. When you've got user-generated content from teachers and schools pulled into that, we're going to be delivering highly personalized material to our students that can be accessed online, in the class, over the cell phone, in the cloud, maybe in Second Life. Classrooms should be used for that human interaction. I don't pull a lot of technology into the classroom, so I think classroom and the technology may be a false debate. I think there needs to be technology behind it.
I'm Shiv. I co-founded a company called languagelab.com back in 2005, and we teach English in virtual worlds. The biggest change I think we've noticed from the learner's perspective is now learners want to learn on their own terms. Whereas traditionally, if you wanted to learn a subject, you buy a course and someone would have laid out nicely all the topics in the course to teach you a subject. You turn up at certain times every week. Now, I think learners will more and more want to learn at whatever topic they want, rather than a topic someone else has decided for them, at any time they want. And we've actually done a lot of experiments with this, presenting courses as opposed to sort of ad hoc lessons that people can take when they like. And the ad hoc lessons have proven to be much more popular than courses. So I think the biggest change for us going forward is students wanting to learn on their own terms rather than terms that are set out for them.
Thanks, Shiv. You took me a bit by surprise there. I was hoping you were going to go on for a bit longer. Prepare what I was going to say, which sadly I haven't had a chance to do. My name is Byron Russell. I've been working for the past 9 years with a variety of publishers on the development, creation and commercialization of digital products. And it's been interesting to see how quickly this market has developed and how this whole business has developed from an initial skepticism just after the dot-com boom in 2000, 2001 to what we see now with a preponderance of some very, very exciting materials and products coming out from a variety from all the mainstream ELT publishers. I'd agree very much with Cleve that I think that the future, as far as technology is concerned, is going to lie very much in a mashup, a mix of peer-to-peer created materials, peer-created materials, and publishers' materials mixed up to create something which is going to satisfy the needs of learners and the needs of teachers in a variety of highly specific and increasingly highly specialized teaching situations. But I'd just like to change the tangent very, very slightly and change what we might mean by they. I think that what we're also seeing is that an increasing amount of burden is being placed on the teacher, who is suddenly being faced with a range of technological hardware and a range of software that they are suddenly being asked to deal with. They're being asked to deal with the creation of interactive resources for Moodle, for example. They're being asked to create blogs and create wikis when they may not even have a complete understanding or idea of what a Moodle or blog is, or even a wiki or blog is. So I think one emphasis that publishers need to look at a little bit more carefully, perhaps, is the support that they actually supply to teachers in the form of practical hands-on training on how to best exploit these tools, on how to best create materials that can be deployed on tools. And also to look with a little bit of healthy skepticism at the kind of hardware that's being available. I don't know how many people went to the very exciting and dynamic presentation on how to create an interactive whiteboard for €60 yesterday, which I think is going to put people in Promethean, Smart, and various other interactive whiteboard manufacturers at something of a quandary. So anyway, I think that there's a lot going on. It's a very, very exciting period to be involved in this particular environment. There are a lot of changes happening. But I think that one thing that publishers need to look at very, very carefully is how they can best support you as practicing teachers in how to best use and exploit this material in the classroom.
Hi, I'm Vicki, and I'm a writer, a materials writer, and I'm also a teacher. And when I go in and teach my students, I certainly use the internet, and we're glad that the internet's there and we turn to it to look things up. But actually most of my teaching is very much as my teaching was, well, hopefully I've improved a bit, but you know, as it was 10, 20 years ago. And I think when my students come into class, they're coming into my classes because they want to talk to one another face to face. And the things that they like to talk about often are themselves, and to find out about one another, and to have very human conversations. I mean, sometimes the best topics for conversation are problems and changes, and they're sort of very fruitful topics, and I think those sorts of things are going to go on. And they're human beings, and they like surprises and the odd game. And so an awful lot of my teaching is probably, I think, going to be very much the same. We're going to continue to do role plays and discussions and find a partner who, and all these sorts of activities that we've always done. As a teacher, I found technology has been fantastic in enabling me to go out and find materials quickly that will interest my students, find texts that are relevant. I see those things as supplementing the core stuff that I would normally do. I'm not too sure about this playlist idea, in all honesty. I think that the playlist stuff is supplementary, and the core stuff that's going on in the classroom, where most of my students most of the time really want to speak. And you know, secondarily, they want to listen, which is a bit of a problem because they want to speak more than they want to listen. But, you know, it's good speaking activities that they like. And I don't actually find them on the web. I find them with the normal sort of materials that I would use, and we all look at books and do those sorts of activities. But as a teacher, I have to say the web's been absolutely fantastic. And I've also discovered, and this has been quite recent for me, a community of people out there who will help me find all sorts of things, do all sorts of things. And it's a flourishing community that's just very, very helpful to one another. So, you know, my advice is go out there and go and contribute to people's blogs, leave messages, go and blog yourself if you have something to say. Join up with Twitter, because the wonderful resources that get passed around are fantastic. But also there are friends to make out there, which is very, very nice.